sit. This is Spencer, and Spencer is a supremely cute dog. He also is a very nervous dog. And I think he's a little bit confused. I think he thinks that his job is to be in charge of his human, and his human doesn't listen to him in his mind, which stresses him out a little bit. So he barks a lot. This is a lack of respect for me as an authority figure. If I reward him for this, then I'm going to reward him for climbing on top of me. There's nothing wrong with the dog being on you if you invite the dog up. That I did not invite up, so I didn't reward or engage with that. Now I'm going to show you in this video, because Spencer likes to bark a lot, so in this video we're going to show you how to teach your dog to speak so we can teach your dog how to be quiet. Now I'm going to use a clicker for this, and Spencer didn't really like the clicker at first, as you can see right there. Now I asked the guardian if she primed the clicker, and she wasn't familiar with that. Priming the clicker is to build a positive association. A clicker is to indicate when you just did the exact thing that I wanted, and that's what we want him to do, is bark. And people look like I'm crazy when their dog barks too much. They're like, you want my dog to bark more? Yes, because we want him to understand to bark so we can teach him how not to bark. So the first thing you want to do, and I've already done this with him, but I'll show you how to do this, you want to do something called priming the clicker anytime you're going to use this. And you should never click at the dog like a remote control. The idea is the instant the dog does the thing you want, you click, and that tells the dog that I'm going to get a treat in your mouth as soon as we possibly can. Now to build that association, first we need to teach the dog that this is associated with this. The way we do that is I'm going to drop a treat on the ground, and when he licks it up, I click. See how he's not moving as far away. So that's how you want to build that association. So when I click, he starts to, that means I'm going to have a tasty treat on my mouth right away. Now, I did this for him earlier. For dogs, staring can be, so that's the cortisol he has in his blood, which is the stress hormone. Now, I was triggering a response from him earlier by staring at him. If the dog loves you and trusts you, staring at you is like giving you a kiss. Come here, buddy. I need you a little bit closer. We want people to see you on camera. So that's the cortisol. So we might need to prime the clicker a little bit more. And I don't know if we're going to actually achieve all of what I want to do on this video, because we haven't taught him to bark on command. Now I use classical conditioning for this. Sorry, buddy. And so for classical conditioning, what we want to do is build the association. Pavlov's dog is an example of classical conditioning. So whenever he barks, I'd like the guardian to say the word speak, which is the word we came up with. You can also say woofs or whatever you want to say. Talk, a lot of my clients do. So basically, I just want to do that to create the association. So now I'm going to stare at him, and it's going to provoke a bark. Everybody. Now you can't see it on camera. Speak, speak. Now, what I'm doing is I'm indicating when he barks, I'm clicking right away to indicate that's the thing that I wanted. I'm throwing the treat, and I want to create a positive association with the word, the command word, in this case, speak. So I'll do it again. Speak. Anytime you give your dog a treat, they should do a command word, and only the command word immediately after it goes in their mouth. Now you're not seeing this because he's going around the, that's not the best camera, not her fault, but because of the situation. But when he runs away, he's not running as far away each time, and he's coming back faster and faster. Speak. 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 Now, what he was doing is, and you can't see it from your angle, but he was running all the way around the couch. Now he's just going back to he's about even with the middle of that pillow over there. Speak. Now you want to keep on doing this until when you say speak, the dog speaks automatically. It all right. Now again, that's the cortisol. And so we talked a lot off camera about building in rules and structure. If your dog is really twitchy like he is, that means he has cortisol, which is a stress hormone in his blood, and that makes it a physical manifestation as well as being a psychological issue. Speak. So let's say I've achieved this, and now I can say speak and he barks. Well, what we would do is I would say speak, He barks, I would give him the treat and say, I would probably put it in his mouth, but he's more comfortable. I would say the word speak. Then I would say quiet, and then give him the treat. Now, quiet doesn't mean anything. So it's not a command where he's going to trigger. So now when I say speak and I bark, I get the treat, I hear the click, and then I get the treat. Then he says quiet, I don't do anything, I hear the click, and then I get the treat, and then when the treat goes in my mouth, I hear the word quiet, or silence if you've already been using a different word. And so the idea is you do this back and forth. So speak, woof, click, or a treat. Speak when he licks it up. Quiet, 1 second, click, drop another treat, and then when he licks it up, we say the word quiet. Now, after we can say speak and quiet, we've done them back to back like that. You do it maybe 10 or 15 times. Do this about 3 to 5 times a day. Once again, he already knows how to speak. The next step is to start elongating the quiet. So you say speak, he barks, you click, drop a treat, say speak. Then you say quiet, and now 1, 2 seconds, click, drop a treat, and then we take up, we say the word quiet. The next time, not necessarily next time, but we want to go to 3 seconds of silence, 4 seconds of silence, 5 seconds, and we're elongating it. I wish I had a camera, or my camera right now, because he's got his mouth open and smile. But basically what we're doing is we're elongating, we're putting in context. Speak means bark and get a treat. Quiet means not bark and get a treat. So once we've achieved this doesn't necessarily stop your dog from barking. What this does is this creates a vocabulary so that you can ask your dog to stop barking. Now, if your dog is wanting to stop barking, it's going to depend on whether or not your dog thinks it's in charge. Everybody, come. Or if he thinks he's in charge, come. I notice how I left my hand there, I didn't move it. He's a little sketchy because of the cortisol in his blood. Sometimes the dog will come back a second time and check out your hand. And he can see that I don't have a treat there. Now I've got a treat. Let's see if he comes back and takes it. And that little movement, and a lot of his barking I've demonstrated throughout the session, he's doing it when he wants to disagree. If I were to stand up right now, I guarantee I'd provoke him to bark if he was looking at me. I've already demonstrated it a couple times. Because he's saying, I didn't give you permission to get up. I didn't give you permission to sneeze. I didn't give you permission to stretch or do any of these things because he thinks that he's in charge of the world. I'll move this way so we can see both of us in the camera shot. So basically what we need him to do is to think that he is not in charge. Because if he thinks he's in charge, but he tells me not to do something and I do it anyways, that stresses him out. The more this happens, the more the stress hormone, is released into his bloodstream. This makes him more stressed, this makes him more anxious, this makes him more likely to bark, and the more that he barks, the more his guardian tells him to be quiet. But until we've taught the dog to be quiet, all the dog thinks is cool. Now she's barking and I'm barking. We're both barking too. We both disagree with the truck on the street. And we live somewhat nearby a busy street. And so everything is amplified for him. So the more the guardian incorporates rules and enforces them consistently, the more that he's going to see her acting like a leader. And she acts like a leader, then she does not need me to be her personal protection security dog. And the more that this happens, the more the pressure is relieved from his shoulders, that he doesn't think it's his job to bark at everybody he sees on a walk or anytime he hears a sound outside. And he can start going back to being a dog and relaxing and chasing his tail or playing with his dog toys or doing all the other fun things that he likes to do. And if you notice, I'm not trying to pet him. That was a good example of that. Quick jerk, that's the example of the cortisol in his blood. And the guardian and I had a little bit of a tense situation where we talked about some of the rules because the guardian likes him being able to do other stuff, and we all love to have that. But if we have a child that has a temper tantrum, we need to make sure the child understands just because you throw a temper tantrum, that is actually not going to get your way. Now, I'm not saying the barking is a temper tantrum, but it is in the family of that. So the more that we enforce rules, even if he doesn't like it at first, the more he sees the human acting like a leader and sees that leader-follower dynamic shift. And then he starts seeing, well, she can take care of herself. It's not my job to do that anymore. And now when she tells me to be quiet, I respect her as an authority figure, so I have to listen to her. So when she tells me what to do, I listen. But if I don't have any rules, and the guardian's not enforcing them consistently, well, then we're peers, and then I be quiet if I want to be quiet, and I'm going to bark if I want to bark. So let me see if we can get him over here. Oh, and he's not liking that camera, my white case or something. All right, can we come back over here? Let's wrap this video up. This is Spencer, and these are some tips and tricks that you can use. Sit. Sit. Remember, say the word, command word as a command if he knows it, and then after you give the treat, say the command word again a second time, but only say the command word. Don't say good dog, good sit, or good boy. Just sit and nothing else, and only sit once. Only say it once. Once during the command stage, once during the reward stage. So if I told him sit, I would say sit. When he sits, I give him the treat and say sit. So I'd really be saying it twice. All right, well, this is Spencer, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that likes to bark.